And welcome back, everyone, to the program. I'm your host, as always, LitecoinLeader, otherwise known as Jeff. That's why my name's over in this little corner here, right here. I got it right. Almost point to it. There we go. Okay, so before I dig into this video about UTXOs, explaining what that is and what that's all about, because I had a great question from one of my subscribers, I'm going to dig into that. But before I do, all right, and realizing I'm probably going to need another haircut again, but we'll move on from that. Before I get into all that, please like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell in the corner. Really helps out the channel. Leave a comment down below too. Do you like these kinds of videos where I explain certain things? We're also going to do an AMA this week. There's an AMA that's going to be tomorrow night. Just want to get that clerical part out. And that this part of my hair is really bothering me. But you get the idea. Okay, so what is a UTXO? First off, it is not an unidentified terraforming extraterrestrial object. That's not what it's about. It is... That's pretty good on the fly. Okay. A UTXO is an unspent transaction. Sorry, an unspent transaction output. So U and the TX is combined. The U is for unspent, TX is for transaction, or TX really means transmission, but it's a transaction. That's the common abbreviation of TX aside from Texas. TX usually means transmission, but in this case, it's a transaction, and O is an output. So what does this all mean? I'm going to tell you what it means as far as a typical cryptocurrency exchange. And this is what happens is that there's no accounts that's held up. Okay. So people have ownership of Bitcoin. Okay. So let's just say that I own, let's see, I'm going to use some dollar bills in various forms to try and explain this. Let's say I own $10 of Bitcoin. Okay. There we go. Right in the camera. Let's get below eye level. $10 of Bitcoin. Okay. Now, Patrick wants me to give him $5, but I only have $5 in Bitcoin, but I only have the 10. So what happens is that since I have an account with 10, and this is the smallest denomination I have one account, it's $10 worth of Bitcoin. The request is for $5. What happens in the transaction is I create not one transaction of 10 to give him 5. What I do is I actually create 2 transactions. And I'm going to create a transaction of a 5 and another 5. Let's get this right. Here we go. There's a 5. There's another 5. Okay. So that 10 became 2 5s. Okay. So the first transaction, I take that $10. Right. The $10 has been broken into 2 5s, 2 transactions, a transmission of 5, another transmission of 5, a transaction. The first 5 goes to Patrick. That's complete. The second one goes back to myself. Now, I'm not accounting for fees. So this is probably going to be $4.98 or whatever. But that remainder gets sent back to me, and the network kind of like we all share in the transaction cost of that second transaction. So now I have, for lack of a better rounding, I've got $5 in my account. Now let's just say, similar question, I have somebody else that wants $5. Now I've got $5, great. But what if I did? Let's just say through various transactions throughout my existence of Bitcoin, I have another request for $5, but I have several bits and pieces left over. Okay. I can have, like, let's just say I routinely give someone $9 and I use $10. So I get $1 back. Okay. So now I have all these UTXOs that are 1, right? If someone asks me for 5, I can group them and set them all and create a $5 transaction by using these UTXOs. I put them all, I bundled them into one and transacted them. So a UTXO is an unused transmission output. That's really what it is. Okay. Or it's an unspent transmission output. So, but they were created by a spending. So these dollars, like when I might have bought a Bitcoin and $1, but typically what would happen is, just say I wanted to buy $97 worth of something. I have $100 of Bitcoin. So I spent the $100 and I create that transaction of 97 and also 3, and I get $3 back. So now I have a UTXO of $3. All right. So now I sent $100. I don't have a $100 bill in front of me. Sorry. Another laying around somewhere. I'm sure I have a couple, but let's go back to 10. So I spend $10 and I spend, I buy lunch every day for $10 and I go somewhere cheap and I wind up spending $9. So over time, I wind up collecting these $1 UTXOs. Over time, I can group them and just say when I get 7 of them, or 9 of them, I can go and group them all and spend that $9 transaction. So they are unspent transaction outputs. Whenever I send someone, it's basically change. Okay, it's your change that you're getting back from the blockchain, but it comes from 2 transmissions. So let's just say I have, because the network doesn't know, like it doesn't say Jeff has $10. It says Jeff needs to spend $9. So I'm gonna send from my account, or I don't have an account. I'm gonna send from my address. The address looks up and says, oh, this address is associated with these many UTXOs. You can group them all together, or you can say I've got this $100 one that I can send over, and I get sent back change from the network, and the network makes change by saying, okay, you want to spend $100 on an object that costs $63. So now I'm going to create 2 transactions, a $63 transaction and a $37 transaction. That becomes my UTXO. That's my change. The network makes me change. 63 goes to the seller. 37 goes back to me as change. Then that's my new UTXO. I can use that in a group of for spending that amount or less in the future, or I can group it with other UTXOs to group them together to make another expenditure. So it's kind of like if you have a bunch of 1s and 5s, right? You got a bunch of 1s and 5s. I can group these together and eventually wind up with 50, 60 bucks through all these UTXOs, bundle them together and send them over and make a payment in that full amount. But normally the payment because of fees, because of change, because of rounding, you're always going to get change. So that change is a second transaction that's sent back to you from the UTXOs that you're spending. So if I want to, again, let me just explain one more time. A UTXO is an unspent transaction output. It comes from a transaction. It means I've used a Bitcoin or another coin, say Litecoin, and I've spent a certain amount. Now, I may have, it's like you don't have change, but the network makes change for you. So let's just say you want to spend $100. You want to spend $94. And, you've got a $100 bill. And you can use, or you can have $100 on your $100 UTXO from a much bigger transaction. You can spend that and get $6 and change. Or you may have several UTXOs that add up to about that amount, and you can group them together and spend it for that transaction, and the network will make you change. Now the network makes you change, and because of that transaction, I think it's a shared cost for that second transaction fee because you're sending it back to yourself. And they may even waive it. I'm not certain exactly how it's minuscule, but a UTXO is basically unspent change from your Bitcoin, your Litecoin, or whatever. So excellent question. I thought it was, I did a little bit of research just to make sure I got the name of the nomenclature and the details right. But hopefully that helped you out. And again, if you want to check me out and join us in the AMA, it's going to be Wednesday night at 8:30 for all my patrons. There's lots more coming. I'm actually working on a series of, I'll defer talking about that until it's a little bit more complete. So with all that said, let me close the drawer in the bureau, say thank you to Matt for that question, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.